And actually, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because I know me.
You know, so that's our life mission. That's the McKinney mission.
So you don't have to understand my boundaries to respect them.
Well, no, I'm the president and co-founder of McKinn, a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorders.
How do you go about fixing the damage in the trust between the family after you get out?
Okay, I gotta work on that.
Celebrating my 6 months. Didn't have cake.
Yeah.
Gosh, you showed up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marshall. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I'm the hype man. Get us to talk about some things that we really need to talk about or we really can talk about before our speaker comes on, right? Anybody getting out anytime soon within the next 4 or 5 years? Yeah. Wait a minute, because when I was in the penitentiary, if you had less than that, you had a bullshit bit. You had a bullshit bit. This was just arrest. This jail, you know? But anyway, we'll talk about some things, man. Talk about some things to do, or how would it do some things once we leave here, you know? We in here, we should have enough wisdom now to understand success is not a straight line. Success is not a straight line. I'll say that one more time. Success is not a straight line. Meaning you can have a plan. You can have a plan for when you leave here, and you leave here and it's not a straight line. It's going to be some stumbling blocks. It's going to be some distractions. It's going to be some hiccups that you're going to have to deal with. And this thing, man, is about recovery. About recovery. I don't know. Recovery is a word that I learned. It ain't all about drugs. We need to recover from a whole lot of things. How I got here, recovering from jail. I didn't want to keep bouncing back in and out of jail, in and out of jail. You know, whether you know it or not, that shit split your life in half. That shit divides your life. Being in jail divides your life. A lot of things that you could be doing, man, if you stay up in here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, get a bit, you stay in there 20 years, you can't do it. It ain't gonna happen. And most of us point the finger at somebody else. Point the finger at somebody else. Man, I was just sharing with the speaker, when I went through the incarceration thing, it was a long time before I felt safe and secure that I ain't have no more charges or warrants or indictments that they was going to bring up. Because they didn't have me for all this stuff that I did. They just had me for one thing that I did. And I did that. Some of that other stuff, man, I'm like, all the time, did they clean the books? Did they clean the books? Because sometimes they won't. You know, I've seen people go in, do a bit, get out, and then they present them with an indictment. You know, and you're like, how did that happen? You know, but because we know, man, that this thing ain't a straight line, A lot of times when we get out, everybody got a plan. Everybody got a plan. And then what they suggest to you is have 2 plan A's. Have a plan A and a plan B, or have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Because you might need them. Yeah. You know, if you got just one plan, I'm telling you, that might not work. You got to do some more work. You know, that's where, man, like this program that brings this program in here, that's what this program is all about, man. Second chance, man. Second chance. Some of us don't feel like, oh, look, I got it. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Man, you know how many people we have heard say that? You know, we hear it all the time. Hear it all the time. I got it. Lead a treatment center. Just recently, somebody left a treatment center, ran off with one of the girls. You know what I'm saying? That's so typical. Ran off with one of the girls. 2 weeks later, we see them in Henrico West. You know? And they got a story. You know? My only hope is that we learn from this, man. We learn from what we're going through. You know what I mean? Because I can remember my story. Some things that happened to me, man, I was ready to kick my own self in the ass. For being so stupid, for being so dumb. You know? And I know some of us feel the same way sometimes, man. We ain't doing what we're supposed to be doing for ourselves. You know, I just hope anybody that's in here, you know, giving yourself some time. Because you giving the state, you giving the county, you giving them time. You giving them 24/7. I just hope that you learn to give yourself some time. For anybody to read, man. Socrates, all knowledge begins with knowledge of self. Some of y'all don't even know what you like and what you dislike. Some of us have learned how to just front. You know, that's how the drug game used to be. We learn how to walk like somebody else. We learn how to talk like somebody else. All of us learn how to imitate, you know, till we get to the point where we don't even know who we are. Speaker told me today, right? She called today and she was like, man, we were talking on the telephone and she was like, bam, I was just messing with you. And I said, it's good to be humorous, you know, having some little fun, have a smile, have a joke or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's how me and my wife have stayed together so long. One of us bring a joke home every day. Keep the other one laughing. Come here, girl, I got a joke for you. Old dude, me and my man here, somebody gave him some Viagra. Because he had a young girl. Take this before she get there, and you'll be all right. The dude that gave him the Viagra called him when he thought the girl was there. He called him and said, what's going on, man? He said, man, I done climaxed twice already. I'm trying to clean it up. I done climaxed twice already. He said, well, what about the girl? He said, she ain't even got here yet. Stupid. But I like humor. I like jokes, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, me and my wife bring a joke home every day. You know, just to keep each other laughing and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, recovery is born. Recovery is born to a lot of people because they don't know themselves. I love myself, man. I love spending time with myself. You know, and I think I got some of that from the penitentiary. I'm around y'all all day in the penitentiary. I ain't like that. I want to go just leave me alone. I'm keeping it clean. Leave me the F alone. You know what I'm saying? Let me be to myself. Find out what I like and find out what I dislike. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. And today I do things, man, in solitude. Got a whole lot to do with it. I love to read. I started doing that in the penitentiary. You know, I love humor. I started doing that in penitentiary. I started helping people. You know, that came from the penitentiary. I told our speaker, man, look, man, the first miracle that hit me is when I met somebody in a setting just like this. A year later, they had me bringing the program in. I got clearance from the Richmond City Jail, and I was bringing the program in. And that goes back to me thinking, damn, I wonder if they got warrants on me. But they cleared me to do that. That was a miracle in my mind. In my mind, that was a miracle, because where I came from, didn't nobody get a chance to do that. That didn't happen. So I don't know what the miracle might be for you, you know. But there is an opportunity, there is a chance, there is a door that could open for you. Man, you got to step in it, man. And I've been doing this now for over 30 years. For over 30 years, I've been doing this, you know. And I still understand that success ain't a straight line, man. I've had all kind of bumps and all that kind of stuff like that, man. Knee surgery, my mother passed and all that, man. You know what I'm saying? Things to deal with, you know. Problems that you're going to have to deal with. You know what I mean? And, man, I deal with them with myself, man. You know? My thing about the whole time that I'm here is about personal growth. It's about personal growth, you know? Man, work on it. Work on it. Work on personal growth. Work on giving yourself some time. You know what I'm saying? And make it happen, you know? Tonight, man, we got a treat, and it's especially for the females, you know? Before we do that, man, look, before we do that, I want to share this too, man. I got two guys over here. Y'all might see them every week. Every week y'all see these guys setting up. They are video people. They are IT people, right? When you're talking about miracles, he knew nothing about this before he got here. He been here 6 months. Stevie knew nothing about this. And now look what they're doing. I mean, he's doing some amazing things, man. He's doing some amazing things. Now, I don't know, if you somebody in here and you like tinkering with stuff, you know what I'm saying? It may be something that you can do. But you can't do that kicking it with somebody every day and they telling you about, you know, trying to get a bag and trying to get a pack and all that. You know what I'm saying? The little stuff that you got going on, and I'm sure there's some people in here today, man. You know, the trend today is to find a trade. Find a trade. Learn how to use your hands. Learn how to use your hands. Because what some people say is a lot of jobs that are out here now, they're going to disappear. They're going to have robots. They're going to have robots doing your job. Find something to do with your hands, and you'll be good, you know? But I wanted to read, man, this is Art right here, and this is Steve, doing a magnificent job every week. Let's give him a shout out. And that's good stuff, man. And we got other people that's in the facility, other people in our facility that's doing other things. We had some people that started like doing electrician work. We had got some people that carpenter work, laying bricks. We had people doing all kind of stuff, man. And they come here and they find out what they can do and they develop a passion for it. And man, it's a crooked line, but it's success. You know what I'm saying? It's a crooked line, you know? So with that, man, I say we got a treat. We got a treat for the women, man, because we got to bring some females down here on occasions. And we did. We brought a female down here today, and I mean, she can talk to y'all. I ain't going to tell her story, but for y'all that like riding bikes and all that kind of stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Y'all, you know, she can give you something. You know what I mean? With that, I give you Tammie.
Thanks, Marshall.
Hey, Tammie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, is this thing on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, y'all. I'm an addict. My name's Tammie. I just want to take a look around for a minute. You know, it's really wild because usually when I come in somewhere, I see at least about a half a dozen people I know. And I don't today, which to me is kind of like a miracle because he said I know him. it's kind of a miracle because it must mean I'm kind of like out of a loop. And it doesn't mean that I'm that far from it because my clean date is only January the 17th of 2019. So I'm just, coming up on, 4 years, 4 months. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how I can see everybody because I want to see everybody. But I really want to be close also. I am in a 12-step program, and I have been following the RISE program. I've been following the progress for years and years and years. When I actually got clean, I landed in Henrico West, and I really never had any charges anywhere outside of Richmond. But on that particular occasion, I landed in Henrico, and I laid on the floor, puking green. Yeah, I laid there and kicked for a couple weeks, and just by the kindness of somebody I love very dearly, is actually my sponsor who hadn't spoken to me in about 3 years. She came and got me with some requirements. We'll put it like that, requirements. And I'll just start out with saying that I'm a Richmonder, and I said that already, and Marshall and I were talking about it before. I'm like an original Richmonder, and I say I'm an OG from OG because OG from Oak Grove, if anybody is hip to South Richmond. I don't live there now. As a matter of fact, I live down on the water, and I live a block from the beach, like 1 block off of the beach. And talking about miracles, it's a miracle. Because I started in this world, well, let me just say this. I started this trip in recovery, I started like with a blown up car, an apartment that it was covered in drugs and paraphernalia. My dogs had been in there.
I'm sure I understand.
Oh, you hush up. Yeah, so my dogs had been in there for a couple weeks. When I came to jail, I thought I was gonna die. I thought that was it for me. And then, as a matter of fact, I had made a promise to myself that if anything happened to my dogs, that I was gonna off myself. And I started making that plan. And I was pretty sure that nobody would take a call from me because I had burned every bridge, out there. And so I had gotten arrested, and the police had confiscated my phone and taken it into evidence. And so I had they wouldn't let me get, how like sometimes when you come into processing, they'll let you get like 3 or 4 numbers out of your phone and write them on a piece of paper. Well, there was none of that. And so I didn't have an inmate number because I was so sick, I just wouldn't comply with anything that they were asking me to do. Oh, Lord. That's classic. Dude, that shit's classic. I wish y'all who are watching this on live feed, I wish y'all could have seen that. That was classic. Humor. So look, humor. Marshall was just talking about humor, man. We gotta keep it light sometimes, That was great. Yeah, let's get round of applause. Big round of applause. So that was so awesome, especially for a ginger. Yeah, leave it to a ginger. Yeah. So where was I? What was I even talking about? Oh, well, yeah. I wasn't doing anything they asked me to do. I was high as gas. I was nowhere near sick yet. I was just high. And they drugged me into that process. I don't remember anything. I just remember waking up sick, maybe a day or two later. And I had no inmate number, so I had no way to, to walk over to the phone and put my number in. And I had no numbers because all my numbers were in the phone. And, of course, I was just so cantankerous. I was just evil. I was evil. I was in a rage. And, who in the hell is going to help somebody who's just, bleh? It's just, I was gross. And so nobody would help me. And I was like, nobody will help me. And finally, after about 2 weeks, I was sitting in there for 2 weeks, and I all of a sudden a phone number popped into my mind, and it was my sponsor's number. And I dialed it, and like I said, she hadn't spoken to me for about 3 years because that's how long I'd been out there. And I'd begged her on numerous occasions to talk with me, and she wouldn't, right? Because I was out there, I was going hard. And on this particular occasion, she happened to be going through some personal things in her life, and for some reason, she took my call. And so I started on this journey. I had to go back into the apartment where I had been doing, what we do. And it was in Northside in Richmond. And it was covered, and I didn't have anywhere else to go. And so I had to walk in there. I tried for about 3 or 4 days to get somebody to come in there with me and to clean out all the drugs and everything. And, everybody knew how bad it was, and nobody would help me. Again, nobody would help me. Nobody would go into that apartment with me and clean it out. So I went in there, and I had every intention of using what was in there. Every intention. And so don't ask me why I didn't, because I don't know. But I went in there, and I started putting stuff in bags, not baggies, bags, trash bags. And I was able to get it out. And within a couple of months, I stayed there for a couple of months. I hadn't paid rent the entire time I'd lived there. I hadn't paid a light bill. I hadn't paid anything. And so it was just a very short period of time, and I was evicted. So all my stuff went out on the lawn, and I was homeless. So here I am with 2 dogs. I got 2 100-pound dogs and 1 little 16-pound dog, and we were homeless. And and so basically, when I got out of jail and I went into that apartment, the agreement was that I was going to go to a doctor and I was going to get some medication. And I don't mean something that's addictive. I mean something that's non-addictive. And I went and I got this implant, and that was the agreement between my sponsor and I, is that I would go get this implant because we knew that I was going to die. Everybody knew I was going to die. I don't know how I am even standing here today. Everybody knew I was going to die. And my sponsor was kind enough to put a plan in place for me when I had no plan. I had none. And so I went and got this implant in my tummy, and it was awful. I had some stitches and staples and stuff like that. And, if I went, and it was good for a couple months, so it bought me a little bit of time. And I came out, and I started going to meetings every day. Well, I won't say that I wanted to live. It was a good while before I actually wanted to live. I wasn't sure that the program was going to work for me. In the 12-step program, I wasn't sure that was going to work for me. I wasn't sure that the threat of prison was going to keep me clean. I really didn't think anything was going to work, and I was pretty sure that I was going to go in there, pull that thing out of my tummy, and shoot some dope. I had that reservation. And before I go any further, I will say that just as I was sitting there and Marshall was talking, I didn't put together anything that I wanted to talk about today. And so just before this started, I asked Art, I said, Art, give me a topic. And he said reservations. Does anybody know about reservations, what that is? Is everybody in here? Everybody in here is in Rise? Sweet, sweet, sweet. So reservation is like I'm holding a reservation it's somewhere in my recovery that if this happens, I will use. Right? So I had made up my mind that if the stuff that was going on didn't work, I was going to use. And I wasn't going to use to get high and party. I was going to use to be done with it. Right? And so I shoot dope. I said that already. And I do everything else. Like when I'm using, I go all the way. And wow. So within my first, I will say this, within my first 3 months, so I got clean in January. On April 29th that year, something happened. I got a call on the phone from my dad, and he said, Tony's over there on Broad Street in a hotel. And I said, all right. He said, I need you to go identify him. I said, what? He said, yeah, I need you to go over there and identify his body. So my brother, Tony, was my last brother I've got left. I've got 5 brothers. I'm the oldest. And if you were to sweep all the drugs that they were to have ever done in their whole life into a pile this big, I mean, I did more than it. Like what they used in their whole life, you know, is what I used at one time. You know, and so Tony was the last one, and he overdosed on fentanyl. And I went and I identified him on the floor of this hotel room, cold and naked, with his girlfriend in the bathroom, smoking crack in the shower, with the curtain closed, smoking crack in the shower. So that was 3 months clean, and somehow I didn't use through that. And I had to make the arrangements for him. I had no money. I was about to be evicted. I was out here, I mean, I wasn't this big. I was rail thin. I probably weighed maybe 105, 110 pounds, and I was out there building a brick stone patio, just trying to make a couple bucks, you know. I was just trying to, like, make meetings, make a couple bucks, just, you know, get dog food and stuff like that, and put gas in the car. And, you know, and I didn't know how I was going to make it. Well, so there was Tony, and he was gone. And I'm arranging a memorial service for him and getting him cremated and stuff like that. And then about maybe 4 or 5 weeks after that, I got the notice on the door. I was evicted. So all my stuff went outside on the lawn. And the dogs and we didn't have any money. You know, and I know my sponsor's not the type of person, like, she had it, but she wasn't just going to, like, you know, put me up or, you know, people, they want to see that you're trying, right? Well, I made up my mind I was going to go live in a tent. And so I went online and I was, like, trying to find a tent to go live at the river in a tent with my dogs because I wasn't going to give my dogs up. And so all along, and I'm telling you all this story because it's like all along I just had to put one foot in front of the other. I did not know how I was going to stay. Did not know how I was going to stay here. So I ended up being homeless. And by the way, I had a bracelet on my leg too, and it was, you know, it was coming up on summertime, and I was getting a few little jobs, right? But, you know, what Marshall was talking about things not being linear, you know, that there's curves and, you know, there's plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, and none of them are working. And what am I going to do? Well, you know what I did was I just kept going to a meeting every day. And I went and I was raising holy hell, and I looked like a crazy woman. My hair was just wild, you know. I mean, I looked crazy. I looked crazy, and I talked crazy. It was clear to everybody that I was crazy as hell. It was clear. And so I was just out there just doing the deal, just putting one foot in front of the other, make a couple bucks, but I had made up my mind, see. And so for anybody really in here, it's like I live my life basically in the nightlife, right? Most of us sleep during the day, and we're up all night, right? And I'm used to that. I've always been used to that. I've been working in bars and restaurants for all time, you know, because it's a real easy way to get money every single day, right? And so, you know, I had made up my mind early on when I came out that I was not going to take a night job. So, you know, it's like when you're making your plan, you might want to think about, you know, and I'm just, this is just a suggestion, but you might want to think about, you know, getting a day job, you know, because most of our meetings meet at night, right? 6, 7, 8 o'clock. So if I'm at work, that's a good excuse not to be in a meeting, right? Because I'm working, because that's really important, right? Well, guess what? It's more important to be in the meeting. I'd rather be broken in the meeting than to be working in high, right? Right? Can I get an amen? Yeah. So reservations, you know, it's like I kept saying, if this doesn't work out, if I go to the penitentiary, because I should have been going to the penitentiary, because I had some nice little charges racked up, some weight. And, man, I'll tell you. So I wore that bracelet for a year, and I ended up working during the day. Like I said, I'm only going to work 30 hours a week. I'm not going to work 40 or 50 like I always do. And so I came out and I started working this 30 hours a week and going to a meeting every night. And, you know, and then it occurred to me, you know, that the reason I had to sit back and I had to think about why this had never worked for me. I had to really think about that, because like now I'm at the point where it, like, you know, hypothetically it's life and death. We hear that all the time, right? Dude, it is life and death. It is life and death. For me to do it right the first time, this time, is life and death. I don't have any margin for error, and that's this addict. I don't have any more margin left. It's done. Now, it doesn't mean I can't make mistakes. Yeah, I can make mistakes. I make mistakes every single day. But there's a whole lot of stuff that I've eliminated from the equation, you know, and it didn't happen overnight, and it's never perfect, but, you know, I had to finally surrender to the fact that my way didn't work. My way didn't work. Because my way, you know, I want to make all the money. My sponsor used to make fun of me, well, not make fun of me, but she used to say jokingly, but she was in a dark way. It was funny, but she was like, oh, yeah, Tammie can, she gets out of jail and she's like Teflon. She's got a BMW and, you know, an apartment like 3 months later. Well, this time it didn't happen like that. You know why? Because I didn't try. I didn't try to have it like that this time. And I stayed in a hotel. Moved from hotel to hotel to hotel, just trying to get the best rate and keep the costs down. But I was spending about $3,000 a month in hotels. I mean, I had no money for anything else except to live, have a roof over my head. So it was a long time. And I would tell you what, it was Thanksgiving of 2020. When did COVID happen? Was that 21? It was 21. Okay, so at Thanksgiving time of 20, like here, I'm at my wit's end, and I'm like, man, if this don't work out, I'm like donezo. I am out of here. I am sick of this shit. I can't do it. So But still, I was making a meeting every day, and by now I'm doing some outside therapy. Like I'm seeing a therapist once a week, and we're doing this cool little thing called EMDR. I don't know if anybody's hip to that. Y'all ever heard of it? EMDR, it's eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. And it's for people who have trauma. And so if you've ever been in a set of handcuffs, I just want to share with you, you've been traumatized. You know that, right? If you've ever been ripped away from your children, your family, you've been traumatized, right? So as far as I'm concerned, and I'm no doctor and I'm not making any diagnosis, but everybody in this room, and I hate to say it, even these guys, you know, is that there's a level of trauma with this lifestyle. And when, like, how many people in this room, this is their first time ever in jail? First time? Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of how many? Like 60 or something? 70 people? There's like 3 or 4 people this is their first time. How many twice? Show of hands. Twice? Twice? 1, twice. How many 3 times? How many 4? How many more than 4? Whoa, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know what? This becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a lifestyle. And it sucks. Because there is a room full of people here with heads on your shoulder, like with life blood, right? There's life. I mean, I look around and I see life, right? Man, I bet y'all in there on the pod, or I don't know if you call them a tier pod or whatever, but y'all are in there doing a damn thing, right? If you're on Rise, I know you're doing it because they would put you out if you weren't, right? Yes, indeed. Right? And so it's like the same drive that drives you to get out of jail has got to drive you to stay out. The same drive, like, I mean, you know, yeah, all of us, like, I don't know how many times I was on the program tier or whatever, and, you know, and I'm going in front of the judge 18,000 times, and every time I'm like, please, please, let me out. I won't do it again. And that day, like as soon as I got that check from records room give you a check here. Yeah, well, yeah, they give you a check. Boy, I'd be walking up that hill to the check cashing place, and my palms start getting sweaty, right? I had planned for that little $30. Yeah. Yeah. $33, something like that, $5, 10, or 500. You know, it just depends. But it was, you know, when I came out and my palms started sweating like that, and I made my decision right then that I might do what I told them I would do for about 5 minutes. But next thing you know, I'd be gone. And sometimes I would even make it for a little while, right? I would even make it for like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I think I even stayed clean for a year one time. But there was always like a carrot. You know, it was either I wanted to get my kids back, I didn't want to lose the job. I never really gave a shit about the dude. Oh, I'm sorry. I care. But yeah, I just, I never wanted to do it all the way. Like I always wanted to keep this one little thing over here to do. Whether, you know, and I can name them, I can make a whole list, but you know what they are. Like I want to do this, that, or the third. I either want to steal, I either want somebody's man, I want somebody's wallet, I want. You know, and I don't want anybody to know because really, like, it's not what I want is not moral, generally speaking. Like I might say it and I might frame it in such a way that makes it sound moral, but if I'm not doing it myself, if I'm not earning a living myself by my blood, sweat, and tears, and getting in there and doing the meetings and being honest. I am a liar. I'm telling you, I am a liar. I would rather climb a tree to tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. And there's a reason for that. And I'm clear on what the reasons are. Like, I know that when I was younger, if I told the truth, I was going to get my ass stomped, right? I was going to get my ass stomped, and I did. So I learned real early not to tell the truth, you know, to at least prolong that ass whooping, drag it out a little bit, right? So getting here, you know, and doing this work and everything, I've had to like I thought I was, because I was a liar, I thought that I was just bad, and you know, because I'm just bad, that's why I lied. Well, no, there's probably a lot of reasons that a lot of people do things, they don't know why they do them, but there's usually a reason. And you know, and it's like I've found that in recovery, it's like if I want to stay clean, if I want to execute my ultimate plan, and I've got plans today. Like I've got some really exciting stuff that I want to do. And they involve all of you. Believe it or not, they involve all of you. And it's like if I want to live where I want to live, if I want the relationships that I want, but if I want the things that are good and pure and you know, and worthwhile and have meaning, then I don't get to live outside of good and pure and meaning. Because what you do will dictate what you get. You know, I can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Like I've got to find somebody in this world that I'm honest with. And, you know, and I'm honest with about everything. I've got to be, y'all, I know y'all are in there on Rise, and y'all got your recovery books, and everybody's in there writing their ass off, right? Well, yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we get recovery, right? And then we find somebody to share that stuff with, not just, you know, go in the bag that we leave out of the jail in. And, you know, and then when you get home, drop the bag in the closet because you never want to see it again. No, you got to get that book out. All the stuff that you're writing in here, get it out. Find somebody that you can trust who believes in you and wants to help you in your recovery. And read it to them. You know, I don't like hanging around with chicks. Because I got 5 brothers, right? I grew up the ass kicker of the family. And the alpha, you know, I could say alpha male because technically I was just one of them. I'd really never even had girl clothes coming up. See, I didn't understand why I wore boy clothes my whole life. Well, because I didn't get girl clothes, that's why. Because we got, you know, 6 kids, and so, anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I did, I wore boy clothes I still wear boy clothes all the time. And I put it on the pockets. Because I don't like the cut of the girls' pockets now. They're too short, too shallow. Yeah. And I still carry cash. So, you know, and I kind of got off track a little bit, but after that first year, I said at Thanksgiving time, I was able to get out of the hotel. Well, guess what I got? I got a garage. I did. A guy in the program, Cricket. I don't know, y'all. Cricket might even come out here. I don't know, does he? But Cricket let me come to his house. He didn't give me a key to his house, though. He did give me a key to the garage, though. I got a key, y'all. I got my first key. And it was to a garage, and it had a concrete floor, and 2 windows and a door. But I put a bed in that jank, and I put a fucking carpet down, and my little refrigerator. I put a microwave on top of that. And in all actuality, I set it up just like my cell in the penitentiary. Honest to God. You know, I question just about everything that I do or say now. I asked myself, like, where does it come from? I asked myself where it comes from. Well, let me just tell y'all, I stayed in that garage all through the winter, and then I think it was like right up there in March or April, and COVID happened, right? And my guy, Cricket, he's like, I got a house. He said, I don't know what you're going to do, but I got another place. He said, and I recommended him to let you get this place. Well, guess what? I got out the garage and I got the house with the garage, right? So I was like, yay! You know, and that was a year, and I mean, I'm clapping because it was fucking monumental, y'all. Man, I did not have anything that I didn't hustle somebody out of. Nothing. I didn't have anything that I didn't burn somebody for, that I didn't step on somebody's head for, stick a gun in your face for. I didn't have anything that I earned. And I earned that garage, and then I earned that little house, right? And all along, I'm working and I'm making meetings and I'm going to my little counseling sessions and I'm meeting with my sponsor and I'm talking to chicks and I'm not like, and I'm just going to put it like this. I mean, we're talking about 4 years and some change, like 4 years, 4 months, and I'm still not in a relationship. I know that's unheard of, right? No, because you can shake your head no, but I guarantee you, let him show up, right? And trust me, him or her, or him or her, doesn't matter. I knew that I had one shot at this because this last time when I was in that jail, most everybody starts at West, right? Well, you think about the thing on the wall with all the buttons in it, and then the Sally port, right? And then the pod, and then the door for your cell. I had that shit timed. If something that didn't go my way, I had it timed. How long it would take them to get to the control panel, to pop the first Sally port door, to pop the second Sally port door, and then get in and pop my door. I had it all timed. I was gonna be done. I meant it. And so I have carried that with me since January 17th, 2019, and I hope I never forget it. Because the low that comes with that, I could just boo-hoo right now, the low that comes with that hopelessness, that complete and utter despair. Well, COVID happened, so we'll just come on back to the present day. COVID happened. And, and they shut the whole world down. And I'm going to tell y'all that I was in the crew, that we were meeting. I meant I was going to keep going to meetings. Now, Art and all these guys, they come from the McShin Foundation. And it just so happens that, I love the McShin Foundation. And I actually started with the McShin Foundation when they first started in 2004, I think, 4 or 6, something like that. But I could never stay. I kept going back out. I had my own plans, right? I had always had reservations that this is how it was going to go and this is how it was going to look. And so I always ended up high again. But when COVID happened, I said, well, nothing can change for me because I will die. And I knew that was the truth. And so what I did was I was going to the parking decks where people were meeting for 12-step meetings in, they were like the basement. They were private, they were underground meetings. And, and the only way that you would know where they were was if you had to be in the loop to hear about where they were from word of mouth from other addicts who were still going to meetings. And I mean to tell you, some of these parking decks, there'd be like 150 people in there. Because I wasn't the only one that knew their ass was grass if we didn't have meeting. There was a whole bunch of people that knew, and I was so grateful for that. But then I also, got in McShin, and, it's like I just went over there. I started spending all my extra time, like spending time with the intensive house people, people who, I don't think they were letting people out of jail. It was just crazy. It was crazy. So I started, spending all my time working there and working from home on the computer. And it's like we all had to trudge through a really hard time during COVID. But it's like I knew that I couldn't let it kill me. COVID might kill me, but addiction would kill me faster. I knew that. I knew it. So I kept doing what I knew would work for me. And so now, I'm thinking about, as everything started opening back up and I started working, and my work called me up one day. They were like, hey, can we get you to go down to Newport News and work for us there? And I was like, I don't know. I'd never had something I didn't hustle somebody for before. So I had this house, and it was like on 3.5 acres, and my dogs were cool and they loved it. And my work wants me to go somewhere and find a place to live. And I was like, ugh. So I tried driving it. I tried driving it for a long time, and then I was like, I just got to find a place to live. And in the midst of that, I want to tell you that I started working on my credit, right? Because I said that I never had anything that I didn't hustle somebody for, and it was true. And when I started, the first time I checked my credit, I had like a 4-something credit score. And I started working on that thing, and I started paying stuff off, and I started pay. And then I got a checking account, and, I was like, I've always, carried wads of cash in my pocket. I never, I didn't trust the bank, because I always knew that, because I did 10 years in prison. I don't think I mentioned that yet. Did I? No. Yeah, I spent 10 years in prison from 1990 till 2000. Yep. And so there was a whole lot of child support and a whole lot of court cost fines and fees. And every time I opened a checking account, they would always take it because I wasn't paying anybody. I was like, if you want it, come get it. Catch me if you can. And I have to say that that's another reservation for me, is like I can't live in the dark today. I cannot do it. Like, I can't be running from creditors. I know that finances is an area that I'm particularly sensitive around because, what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. And, I have to it's crazy because I started paying all my bills, and I stopped throwing bills in the trash can, and I stopped trying to call, somebody to pay it for me. And so I started paying all my stuff, and I started contacting child support, and I'm like, whoa, I'm calling child support and volunteering to pay them money. And somebody said to me, I think my former sponsor, Valerie, says to me, she says, you know what, Tammie, they don't want your money. I was like, really? Yay. She said, no, they want their money. So, it's like, that's a foreign concept. They don't want your money, Tammie. They want their money. You took their money, and they want it. They used their money to pay for your kids while you were in prison, and they would like to get some of it back. Okay. But I never could look at it like that. It was always my money. And whoever was taking care of my kids while I was locked up, well, they did it because they wanted to, right? Well, yeah, whatever. They didn't. And it was hard, and it's like, so for me to be able to step outside of what my old ideas are, and to take responsibility for my whole life, that shit's drastic, right? But I can tell you, at almost 4.5 years, I got a 780 credit score, which is exceptional. And I worked my ass off for it. I mean, you know, and I'm not saying that. Look, I'm not saying it for a round of applause. I'm saying it because you, everybody here, everybody there, everybody here, y'all can all have it. You can all have it. You can all stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need a fucking soul else. Except for your support. Like, when I think about all the hands that have held mine. So I can think about the not good hands that have held mine. That they drug me on a path of destruction. That maybe they, you know, when I was a small child, maybe they drugged me in a direction that would scar me for the rest of my life, and they did, right? But at some point, other people started putting their hand out. And for a long time, I bit those. Yep, for a long time. And I think, you know, most of us can say that, right? I think about how many people have taken those exorbitant number of calls and paid those bills for me when I was in here dialing those phones. I just wanted to talk to somebody. Please listen to me. Right, well, I needed to listen to them. And even though not all the advice was good, like they wouldn't have taken the call if they hated me, right? People would see like the potential, just like I can look around the room and I can see all the potential. I know there's heads and hearts on all these shoulders, right? And it's like, at some point, you know, and I wish that I would have done this a lot sooner, because I'm getting up there, right? And I'm like thinking about my own sense of mortality, and like my mom and my grandma, all of them, they all died in their mid to late 60s, right? And so like I'm like looking at the watch. Yeah, I'm getting up there. And so I have to make a decision today, like if I'm gonna take care of myself, which starts with my clean time. Like that's number one. My clean time is number one. Without spiritual help, I'm not gonna have clean time. So I gotta tend to that. If I want the clean time, I gotta do the stuff to earn the clean time, right? One day at a time, I gotta earn the stuff to get the clean time. Then, you know, I've got to earn a living. Then, I've also got to take care of my body. So I started going to the doctor. Well, yeah, I shot dope since I was a little kid, since I was 9 years old. Did my first shot when I was 9. I had my first narcotic when I was 3, because I had a childhood illness. I had meningitis when I was a baby. And so they had me in, you know, in isolation and stuff like that. And so I was on narcotics very young. I started, you know, I come from a family that, you know, drinks and shoots dope. And by the time I was 9, I was doing it cognizantly. By the time I was 10, I was in a gang. I'd been incarcerated in juvenile corrections, if anybody's ever heard of Janie Porter Barrett School for Girls. Well, I was there when I was 9 and stayed there for 10 months, escaped, got away, got in a gang down in Florida, stayed there till I was in my 20s. When he was talking about the bikes and everything, it ain't about that. I'll tell you what, it was about the dope, because it was a lot. But I tell you what, when I think about the hands, and so those are some hands that held mine, right? And it's like I have to be cognizant of those hands even today, because what happened then, even when stuff wasn't my fault then, I still drag that shit into my now, right? And so I'm responsible to like recognize when I'm being weighted down by that type of, you know, by old ideas. Anybody reading about old ideas in your recovery stuff? It says we got to get rid of them. So, you know, I So I was in Newport News, and you know, I finally did find a little house in Newport News. I didn't have to pay very much for it. It was right in the hood, right in downtown Newport News. If anybody knows where downtown Newport News is, there's bullets flying. There's dope everywhere, front, back, side, right? And I didn't use. Then, so I also, like we're talking about health, then I also had treatment for hepatitis. I got cured of that. I tried 4 times to get cured of hepatitis. I had the worst kind there was, like the hardest to treat. And I was like, hardest to treat? No new news there. I was always hardest to treat, right? So then, you know, I do everything really high strung. So when I went to Newport News, I joined the gym, and I'm like lifting weights and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I bopped the side of my neck. And when I did that, I crumbled like 4 levels in my neck. Yeah. And so for about 3 or 4 months getting ready for this surgery, I had to have surgery on my spine, and they cut a hole right here, and they moved my throat over. They went into the back side of my spine, and they put pads in, and they built a little Jacob's ladder around it all. But and so I want to say this about reservations, is that for months waiting for this doggone surgery, I knew in my heart, if this addict takes 1 morphine pill, 1 Percocet, 1 anything like that, it's going to turn me into a monster. So for a long time, I didn't even want to I said, I'll deal with the numbness, I'll deal with the pain. I ain't going to do it. But it got to a point where I didn't have any choice. And so, you know, I could have had reservation because there's nothing Tammie loves better than clocking out with some drugs. Because that's usually why I use, not because I want to party and get high, but because I want to clock out. And so I ended up approaching the surgery, and so the same doctor that went and put this little thing in my tummy, you know, the implant, and so I went back to the same doctor who did that, and I started talking with her, talking to her about, okay, well, this is what I gotta do, and this is what, and so I connected my addiction doctor with my medical doctor and my sponsor. So, like, we all got stuff we got to do, right? And we got to do it in such a way that we're not harboring a reservation, that I get a free ride to get high, right? Or, you know, or whatever. But what ended up happening was I went into the surgery. I had ACDF surgery, C3 through C7, which is very serious, right? I was on drugs for 2 days, y'all. 2 days. I had every pill, took pictures of them, and I took them to the DEA tape back at the Rite Aid and turned them back in, and I had pictures of all that shit, man. And I'm gonna tell you what, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And like, I started walking the beach, you know, and next thing you know, like, I was back working in like 3 weeks, and everybody's like, wait a minute, didn't you just have spine surgery? You know? So anything that happens in life, like, I think about the program, the 12-step program, right? I think about that, and I used to think that I had to go and I had to stick my life in and plug it into that. But what really happens is that has to be the central thing, you know, and then all my life situations I plug into it instead of the other way around. You know, I don't bring the A's into my life. I bring my life to the A's, you know, NAAA, whatever, GA, SA, whatever, all A's, right? I bring my life to it, and I set it right in the middle. And as long as I keep doing that, you know, I stand a chance at getting another day clean. You know, like coming here. I've spent so much of my life behind bars, y'all. I've spent over 20 years behind bars. You know, if you add it all together, 10 in one stretch, but it's always been like, 2, 3 more, 4 more. It's like 20 solid years of my life has been spent sitting in those fucking ass chairs right there, wearing those uniforms, change them 3 times a week, right? If you're lucky. Man, that sucks. And I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want you to do it any more than I want me to. So, when y'all are done with this, you got a chance. If you are sitting in this room today, you have a chance to do this differently. And there's some people in this room that they're like, oh man, that is such a crock of shit, man. But I'm gonna tell you what, I'll take it. I'll take it. Right? Because it has given me a life that I had never dreamed possible. Like I would have, now, I mean, like the bank is telling me that I'm ready for a house. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready. But they're telling me I am. And my sponsor's telling me I am. And like the banker is telling me I am ready, right? But you know what? The only way that it will happen, right? It'll happen. But I got to stay clean just for today. And then tomorrow, get up and do it again. So I just invite you all. I invite you all to come and join me with it. All right? Thanks. Thanks, Marshall.
Thank you, Tammie. Thank you. Man, I heard Tammie talking about herself. I heard her talking about herself and got real deep with it. I hope y'all were listening, because there's a difference between hearing somebody and actually listening, One of the things I got from her when she came to that crossroads, is it money or staying clean? I'm broke, or what am I do? Am I gonna stay clean? And I mean, a lot of us have gotten to that crossroads before, When you get out here, it ain't like a whole bunch of money gonna be waiting for you, What you gonna do, Go do something wrong, compound being broke, ended up back in the joint again, ended up back in jail again. I mean, when I saw the hands go up for more than 4 times, that let me know that your way at least 5 times didn't work, I thank her for talking about herself. A lot of times we don't get that, but her talking about herself was magnificent. Y'all got any questions? Any questions? Hey, Rob got the mic. Got a couple of questions for you, Tammie.
All right, I don't have a question.
Oh.
I just wanted to have a comment. I don't know if you remember me.
Oh,
My
shit,
name
it's
is
cute.
Montague.
Oh, shit.
Tammie, I just want to say, I know your story.
You know it's all true.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I can verify everything you said. I'm to the point now, I talk a lot in groups, I hold groups, and they always say, Q, you need to come and speak. I almost didn't come today, but when I came here, man, and I saw you, I'm to the point now where I don't even really like to ask, where is this one, how's this one doing? Because usually people went out off the fentanyl, they died or whatever. I wonder what happened to you, because I don't see you out there, I didn't see you out there no more. I just want to say, man, I'm proud of you, Tam.
Thank you. And there's
Because I
more.
know-
There's plenty.
That's a clap.
You know what? I can think
If
of.
I could, I would come up there and give you a big hug.
Listen
right
up
now,
to this.
Tam, because
Listen up to
I
this,
feel
Q.
good seeing you out.
I can guarantee you 5 from our group. 5. I know 5 people right now that's got 5 years clean.
I know.
And you can have it too.
Well, we was in drug court in 2010, right?
Something like that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I just want you to know I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I like what Tammie was saying. I mean, I don't know what your perception is, but my perception is too, is that, man, we are all, including me, we are some sick individuals. But once we started finding out the things about ourselves, we know how to deal with that. You know, I know how to navigate now because I'm sick. You know? And the point that she was making, if you never know, if you never find out how sick you are, you can't get well. You can't get well. All of us got defects of characters, and all of us got blind spots. Most of us in here got blind spots. We can't see ourselves, man, when the rails come off. You know? We still going, you know what I mean? And if we got somebody that's going to continuously push us in the wrong direction, that's where we going. That's the thing about going to meetings and you know, getting with a support group and getting with the herd and getting with somebody that's trying to do something different. You know? It changes your life, man. Keep peeling the onion. I changed my thinking and it changed my life. Because I stayed with that thinking, like you were saying, for so long. You know, I got a certificate, CPRS certificate, when I was 60-something years old. And my thoughts were, man, what I need, you know, I'm too old to go to school. You know? And man, I went to school and I aced that thing, man. I had to study for about 2 or 3 months. I aced that thing, and it was benefits from it, you know? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm in demand. People will call me to do groups, you know, and I got an asking price. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I never saw that coming. Never saw that coming, you know? But that's one of the benefits of recovery. Any more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions, ladies? All right. Y'all come back. Y'all come back. Week after next, and we'll be here again with another speaker. Thank you for coming. Pete, which go, man?